It's November 13th, 2022. We just finished up the season 1 on the shed, so the reason for that is this episode. So as you can see, we have snow in the ground. This year is actually way colder than last year. At this time last year we were putting the forms, we were about to lay concrete. The weather was way nicer, but this year it's being way colder. We're like minus some Celsius almost every day. So that said, what we're going to try to do in this episode is build the front of the basement walls and build the entire floor system before winter arrives. So let's get into it. One very important lesson we learned from installing Bituthene insulation, a Regi drain during the winter is we cannot allow that snow to get all the way up here. So that said, we need to start as quick as possible on the ground, and for that the first step will be to make our sill plates. By the way, these are pressure treated because concrete has humidity that it can transfer to the wood, so this will not rot. So how do I do it? Well, the first thing I do is obviously I cut my my sill plate to size. As you can see here, it's properly cut to size. Then I choose my downside, basically if the crown is up, I put the crown up. Then I grab my little Sharpie, I go on every single rod and I mark them. Once they're marked, I basically grab my tape measurer, and then in my case I chose to do the hold down because it's the tallest one, and then I measure this distance. So in our case I think it was like 2.5 inches. With that distance measured, you can see my little line there. I drill the hole, then I come again, and the next step is I line the sill plate. I'm gonna show you as an example how to do this. Then with my nice little hammer, I hammer it really hard. And now you can see a nice little mark there that the rod made. And so I do that for all of them, and they are basically my marks for where I need to drill the holes. Then I come, simply make sure it fits, it aligns, and that's how you do it. So it's another weekend, we show up and look at this. We get like 4 or 5 inches of snow. On Monday, the structural engineer is going to come, inspect the metal so that we can continue to move forward. But in the meantime, in order for him to come over, we need to do a bunch of shoveling. We need to shovel the driveway. We need to shovel the foundation so that we can hopefully start building these walls next week. So what else can we do? I guess we might as well watch the World Cup. It starts today. So the first thing we're doing is we're installing the Bituthene up here. We gotta take advantage of the warm weather, and that means above freezing. So the purpose of this Bituthene that you see all around here is to protect the eye joists from getting moisture from the concrete. So that way we don't use a pressure treated plate. Additionally, we're putting a mastic at the very top. It is mostly to protect the Bituthene so that water doesn't come in and then make it undone before we finish the floor system. We have a tricky component here. As you can see, we have the concrete wall, and then it comes up vertically, and then it continues over there horizontally. So I don't really know how other people do it. If you do it differently, please let us know, comment below. But what we decided to do is basically put a sill plate, but vertically along the wall. On the sill plate, we decided to put also a gasket and acoustic sealant, basically for air tightness. And then this nice sill plate will also help us as a nice nailer. We ended up putting some bolts on it so that it keeps it nice and tight. So yeah, that's what we came up with. I don't know if you have a different idea.
So today we began framing off the walls of the basement. It's super exciting. So let us show you what we did. We had a good lesson learned from the shed, and that is that the foundation is not always necessarily flat. So what we did in this case is we marked a line, and then we aligned the laser. Right now it moved a little bit, but this line was right where the other one was. And then we took a stick and we came through every single stone we had, and we just put it like this, and make sure that the laser line was aligning where it needed to be. If we noticed that the line was a little bit up or down, then we noted the difference. For example, in this one, we know that from the measurement from our plans, we needed to add 1/16 of an inch. And then we just kept on going with every single stud we had on the wall.
So we've been hard at work. As you can see, we have stood up a few walls. We're fighting snow almost every day, as you can see. So let me show you a few things now that things are taking shape now. From the shed, we learned that the hold downs were critical because they were so tight in tolerance. So as you can see, here we have one hold down. And based on that hold down, we started marking our layout. But if you come over here, you'll notice that I think we confused ourselves significantly. We started with green and blue, and then we ended up with red. And by the time we wanted to put these walls up, it was very difficult to tell where these studs were supposed to go. And then another thing is, on this side, we're supposed to have a 2x4 wall that will hit onto this side. And there's supposed to be like a little gap here of about 2 inches. And so because of that, we ended up moving this a little bit towards that end. But on that end, we have the shower. So if we move when we move this wall over to that end, the window was intruding a little bit into the shower. So we ended up making these windows about 3 inches shorter, less wide. Another interesting thing is, if you notice, the wall comes all the way back here, but we have concrete, so we couldn't lift the wall in one single piece. And that was another nice lesson from the shed, is we basically lifted the wall with most everything that we could lift with. And then later on, we ended up putting the headers once it was stood up, and then our life became a lot easier. So what you see here is actually a California corner. We're gonna fill it up with insulation.
So here we have another lesson learned, and that one is for the Ramset. This one is unloaded. So this is the smallest one, it's a 22 caliber. We used this one against concrete and it did a perfect job. But when it came to steel, it didn't go all the way through. The nails went in, but not all the way through. And that could be maybe because it's very thick steel, the gun was not powerful enough, or it may be that when you put it like this, you think it's 90 degrees, but it could move. There isn't really a locator. So what we had to do is, we got the big guy. So this is the Ramset 27 caliber. This one has a locator, so 90 degrees means 90 degrees. And in this case, it really doesn't matter if these ones didn't go all the way through, there's nothing in here. But when it comes to the steel beam on top, we need to do packing, and that one needs to be perfectly flush. So just keep that in mind when choosing the Ramset that you need. If you're going for heavy steel, maybe invest in the big one. Our headache. So the first one with the house, it gives us trouble, so hold downs 1, efficient build 0. But we got 3 more, and this time we got them right. So look at this is perfect. And that's because for these ones, we began our layout and assembly based on the hold down. So this one is right, that one is right, and that one is also right. So at this point, we would say efficient build 3 and hold downs 1. However, considering all the troubles from the shed, maybe we'll give them the tie, but anyway, so we're getting better at this. Now, some tips. So if you remember, it took us 4 hours to stand the wall from the shed. So our lesson was, let's put the header after the wall is standing up. And that has worked perfectly fine. Also for these walls, we have been, we kind of partially assembled them. And that's because they have a ton of complexities. For example, this one here, you see we have concrete, we have this little jump. On the one in the back, we also have nuts and bolts that we need to make space for them. So we have been building them in parts, but it has worked perfectly fine. We're hoping that once we get off the ground, it's going to be much easier assembling the walls on top. So here our second front wall, it's already in place. So let me show you what we did. We already had this other wall already in place, Ramset, it's level, plumb and square. And then we had to install this one. So we kept this one loose, we assembled everything, but we kept it loose. And then we used pieces of locking. So we have them at 3 different levels on both sides, and then we use clamps. So what this is doing is, it's aligning this stud with this other stud. And once we check that everything was aligned, we check with the square for plumb. And once everything looked good, we use the new Ramset and we just hit it like there's no tomorrow, and it worked perfectly fine. As long as you keep the gun at 90 degrees, it works. So that's pretty much for today. It's not even 5 p.m. and it's already dark. So we have a beautiful lamp that we're going to show you one day. December 28th, winter is finally here, and as you can see, we already have some snow in the ground. So yesterday we were rushing because we wanted to finish all this framing. We finished the framing of the walls, and then we wanted to install the zip panels. And that's because, as you can see here, snow accumulates really badly in here. So if we have the zip panel and we can apply Prosoco, then we are watertight, we can get off the ground, and we no longer have to clean all this mess. So that's the reason we were rushing yesterday. We also had a few days of warm weather, so we could apply some of the products. And one thing I should note here, so you'll see they are not staggered. When you install zip panels, they should be staggered. But in this case, all of these are windows, so they are going to be cut. That's also why you see we used duct tape here. It's just temporary, whereas this one is where the permanent window is. Sorry, where the permanent wall is. So let's talk about this tie-back wrap. So we know that the tie-back wrap usually goes on the outside, but we're using it here for a different purpose. This is just temporary. As you know, we have very rough winters here. Snow accumulation gets really bad. So what we're doing here is we're just protecting our materials. We don't want the snow getting into the stud base. So that's why we apply this wrap. And this area is going to be open for a few weeks. We need to do the floor system. But we're going to start from the back this way, and then at around this area we have a cantilever. So this is going to be open for a while, so we said let's just spend the time and protect our materials with the tie-back wrap.
Alright, so the last part to get these walls completely done 100% is to apply the Prosoco R-Guard joint seam filler. Well, you see, I typically get this from Amazon, and I will be using my 20-ounce Colcon. And this will go all around the perimeter in the transitions between the foundation and the zip sheathing, and that includes horizontal and vertical walls. The main goal of this is to protect us from water, to protect us from air, and to protect us from insects. Although here in the mountain there aren't that many insects, only during like 6 months, the summertime, but we'll still do it anyway. That said, we're just gonna close the video right here. Because otherwise it would just be a humongously long video if we added the floor system like I said at the beginning, so you'll just watch that on the next one. So thank you for watching, consider liking and subscribing, and let's close this video out with me applying some Prosoco.